So you're trying to figure out what law school is really like. Well, this week I'm sharing with you my stories of the experience I've had in my first year of law school up until this point. I just don't operate correctly unless I've had my chocolate milk in the morning. Don't judge me. We're talking about what law school is actually like, and this probably seems like it has nothing to do with that. But it does, and I will explain. But first, I have to get ready to go to class. So you stay here, I'll be back. That's much better. So law school for me has really become about one of two things. Number one is class, how our professors are teaching us and how we're learning the materials. Number two is how we get ready for class, how we prep, how we study, basically. These are really the two areas of law school where I would say I've spent probably 90% of my time. Like I said, number one, a lot of our time is spent in a classroom. A classroom kind of like this one, but not exactly like this one. Let me show you. That's better. This is what a typical classroom that we're actually in looks like. Most of them are pretty big, have lots of seat for lots of people, and yet professors still figure out a way to pick you out of a crowd. So if you're coming to law school, get ready. All the professors here in law school use a method of teaching that is known as the Socratic Method. More people know this as cold calling. So what happens is you're sitting in class and the professor picks a name basically out of the hat. Some do it just off their sheet. Some have you fill out an index card, put your picture on it, and then they look at it and they go, you.
L. Woods.
And then they go through questioning you about the materials that you've used to prepare for class. Class just let out. I only have 2 classes on Thursday, which is great, but now it's time for food because I haven't eaten yet. So I ordered Uber Eats, got something special. 4 minutes till food. 4 minutes. Food should be here any second. Haha, food's here. A quick Google search of the Socratic Method will get you to the Wikipedia page, which explains it as this: a form of cooperative, argumentative dialogue between individuals based on asking and answering questions to stimulate critical thinking and to draw out ideas and underlying presuppositions. There's a $5 word for you. Now, in class, you're not actually debating with the professor. What really happens is the professor asks you a question, you answer the question, and then the professor follows up with questions that dive deeper into your answer to try to get you to pull out the ideas that they want you to get from whatever the materials were that you have gone over in preparation for class. If you're not the type of person that really likes to be active in class, you want to kind of hide, and you're thinking about going to law school, get ready, because that's about to change. And don't think that I just won't go to a law school that uses the Socratic Method. I'll go to a law school that doesn't use the Socratic Method. It don't work like that. The Socratic Method is how law is taught everywhere, from Harvard straight down to the bottom of the list. Every law school relies upon the Socratic Method to really get law students to understand what's going on in this legal world. So I've left school, obviously. I'm heading home. We still have to talk about number 2, the second area that most of my time here at law school is spent in. But I am taking home a book because I have to read, and I could talk about this at home. So let's do that. Told you I was coming home. This is obviously a different day. I mean, it's a different shirt. I don't even have my book with me anymore that I was reading from, which I did read. I did prepare for contracts appropriately. Preparing for law school, whether it's class or an exam, is really broken down into 3 areas. Number 1, reading. There's a lot of it. And what we're reading isn't easy material. At the end of a trial, judges issue what they call an opinion. They basically write an essay detailing the facts of the case, explaining the law, and explaining how they've applied the law to the facts. We've talked about this idea before in a video that I'm going to link right here. So as a student, it's your job to pull out the important parts like the rule and the reasoning and the facts so that you can understand how different rules are applied to different cases. Which brings me right into number 2, which is case briefs. Case briefs are basically your notes on the case. It's usually a page or 2 of all of these things that you're pulling out from the case that you believe are important that help you to prepare for class and be ready to answer the questions that the professor is asking. And case briefs are important. Don't skip them. Do them, because they really are incredibly helpful. Number 3 is outlining. Everyone tells you that you should outline and make your own outline for yourself. And that's true, unless you're me. Without getting into too much detail on this, outlining is just not something that I can do. And I want to cover this in a totally separate video, but outlining and using outlines is incredibly important for preparing for class, as well as getting ready for your exams. And like I said, 90% of my time is split between class and preparing for class. Those are the 3 different tools that we as law students use to prepare ourselves for classes and exams. And so my practical tip when it comes to preparing for class so that you can get the most out of the classroom experience is to find your system. Early on in my first semester of law school, I decided that I was going to work as hard as I could every single day for as long as I could. And this caused a problem for me because it wasn't long before I was just completely burnt out. I was so exhausted that I just couldn't stay focused. And so I ended up going from staying at the library at law school every single day for as long as I possibly could to not staying and not really preparing at all. I kind of overcorrected myself from one extreme to the other until I finally settled on a really good system that works for me. Basically, now what I do is 3 days out of the week, I'm at law school pretty late. I stay in the library, I get the work done that needs to be done, and then I leave it there. My goal is to always be able to leave school at school so that when I come home, I can just be home. And that's my system. That's the system that I use because I learned and I realized that law school is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So my tip is to figure out your system and figure it out as early as you can. Know what you need as a student and be prepared to run the marathon. And that's going to be it for me this week, guys. Thank you very much for checking out my stories. I always appreciate when you stop by. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. That'll tell me that you like this video. And communication's important. If you want to see more videos just like this one, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget, click the bell because that'll tell you when I'm uploading videos every week. And also think about sharing this with a friend because sharing is caring. And remember, there's a great big beautiful tomorrow.